It's been a couple weeks since we went 500 miles at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, pardon me. But we're back here tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway for the new round 9 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Tony Trapasso will be in the booth with you. Thank you so much for making us a part of your evening here tonight, wherever you may be watching on YouTube, on Facebook, or on the iRacing portal. So with everything that happened, as Tony rejoins me here, with everything that's happened with the new iRacing update, kind of messed up the servers last Wednesday night. So they pushed, instead of pushing the schedule back just 1 week, what they decided to do was they're going to put Watkins Glen at the end of the schedule. So now we're running Homestead this week off next week for Christmas, then Michigan and Watkins Glen to round out the season.
Sounds like a game plan.
It certainly does. And speaking of game plan, I think we should start off tonight's broadcast. Happy birthday, good sir.
Just another day.
Well, thank you for taking some time here on your birthday, as we're in the middle of qualifying right now. Currently, Chris Samard sitting at the top at a 25.86. Dan Brazington at a 25.88 right behind him, as we are watching Johnny Antonucci take his qualifying laps, or we were, as there's Charles Woods slowing down. Let's finish up this lap here with Antonucci and hugging that inside line here tonight.
Bear with me because I'm running a little bit behind right now.
Okay, you're good.
I just got off the phone fighting with a certain shipping company that I will never do business with again. And I'll give you a hint. Their trucks aren't yellow and they're not brown.
Does it rhyme with Medrex?
That's the polite way to put it.
Okay, so there you go. As Jeffrey Roulette on track right now in the number 66, as Johnny Antonucci puts in a 26.55, as Roulette sets his first time. Roulette goes.
Wow!
You okay?
I logged into the session just in time to see Butch Davis eat hot garbage.
Oh, wow. Yep, there he is. And that's another thing that we are going to be able to put on display tonight. This damage model is, there goes Jeffrey Roulette hitting the wall coming out of 4. So Roulette is in a little bit of duress. Pardon me. On his second lap. That's another thing we're going to be able to really put on display here tonight, is the new damage model for these cars. As here comes Nate Siefker here momentarily. There he is, poking around. As Siefker now on his second lap goes only up to P9. Now Siefker, he was down towards the mid-pack in practice as well, so this is an odd sort of a bogey track, I would guess you would say, for Nate Siefker.
Arguably, and admittedly, you even ask Nate, and he'll tell you that he's not as strong on the ovals as he is on the road courses. So he's got to be licking his chops, knowing that they just moved the Glen to the season finale. Because all he's got to do then is just be within striking distance and Katie bar the door.
Jeff Hollingsworth goes up to the top. I do apologize. Our graphics are a little bit laggy tonight. So you might see some slow responses, as really the only person on track right now that's about to set a time, and here he is, the driver of the number 52, Mike Grandy. I believe this is the first time we're seeing him this season.
We've seen Mike before, but this is the first time that we've seen him with SRE, yeah. As Jeff Hollingsworth goes to the top of the pile.
Yeah, 25.83 for Jeff Hollingsworth, knocking off Chris Samard, who had set that time right at the beginning of the qualifying session. And Grandy, his first time will be slowest of all at a 27.79 for the driver of the 52. Brett Beasley, Dylan Moskowitz, and Michael Bourne are the only drivers that have not set a qualifying time as of yet.
I don't think we've seen Moskowitz with SRE yet this season.
I think we've seen him once, but it was a while ago, because I do remember calling that name.
Well, previously on Sons of Anarchy.
So that pretty much, at least for the moment here, wraps up this qualifying session. And Tony, I think now is a pretty good chance to talk about, while we're kind of at a static point here, all of the changes that have been made to the IR18 with this new update. And that was the reason why we missed last week at Watkins Glen. The race was postponed, as I've mentioned. They've made a couple of big changes that are going to play factors in tonight's race.
Well, it'd be easier to tell the folks what didn't change. It still has 4 tires and it's made of carbon fiber. Other than that, but yeah, no, iRacing has really stepped their game up with the open wheel stuff. We have the new damage model, as we've seen a couple of times already tonight. Cars brushing the wall and parts going flying in a shower of carbon fiber and fecal defecation. But they're also on the new tire model, which, ask anybody that's run the full fender stuff with that new tire model. It's it definitely makes you have to drive the car differently.
It certainly will. And I think also another thing that they had put in was the fact that now we have both tire compounds with the IR18. Now, I'm not sure if it's a setting that these guys can switch on and off prior to the session, but they now have the red wall soft tires, and they have the black wall harder tires at their disposal. So that just adds a lot more strategy into these races.
It absolutely does. And trying to see where that gets chosen from. There it is. It's right there in the garage setting. Tire compound primary. They're only running a primary tire tonight, so only one choice.
Yeah, so that would be, so the primary tire would be the black wall Firestones. I believe they would only use the multi-compounds for the road course races, so we'll only get to see that at Watkins Glen.
Well, it's a death wish if you try to run a soft compound in a race situation on an oval. Those tires are usually only optimal for a qualifying situation. So, hats off to the admins of the SRE for, looking into that, making sure, what's going to, what's going to work, what's not going to work, and making sure that these guys, are able to put on the best racing that we can, which it's not that hard for these guys to put on great racing, as we've seen week in and week out. Second to none as far as open wheel series in iRacing.
Yeah, certainly, as qualifying has now officially come to an end here. We will bring you the grid here momentarily. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if our graphics department is going to play ball with us tonight, as we're going to try to get our stuff up here. We have 200 laps here tonight at what would be the Miami Heat 300 at Homestead. I'm assuming that has nothing to do with the basketball team and more just Miami Heat being hot.
Yeah, but it's relatively cool for it being the Miami, quote, Heat, because it's only 71-degree ambient air temperature and 74-degree track temperature right now, and the sun's starting to go down.
Yeah, it certainly will. So this race is going to be run in differing conditions. The day-night cycle is going to be very fun to watch here, and how this messes with the cars. So I guess, yeah, graphics department unfortunately is not playing ball with us here right now. So we'll do the grid here as it sits. Jeff Hollingsworth, Chris Samar, Dan Brazington, and Butch Davis, the first two drivers. Butch Davis, the Indianapolis 500 winner. From 2 weeks ago, Jeffrey Roulette and Ronnie Osmer make up row 3. Row 4 is going to be Kieran Bergelli and Jeffrey Bogan. Paul Crumry and Tim Bates make up row 5.
Row 6 sees Nate Siefker and Rick Ravon rolling off. Row 7 goes to Charles Woods and Kevin O'Brien. William Fletcher and Johnny Antonucci going to roll off in row 8. Mike Grandy, the last car to take time, he's going to be joined with Dylan Moskowitz in row number 9. And currently starting shotgun on the field, Michael Bourne, as Brett Beasley has left the building.
So as the
What is going on with the pace car?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So as the pace car comes back from Narnia here, round 9 of this season, it's going to be a fun race on a very difficult, a challenging track. And I believe the last time these guys ran this circuit, they went caution free, and that's a lot to ask for any set of amateurs, but that's almost expected for these guys.
These guys have set the bar so unbelievably high for all open wheel series moving forward that I don't think it's going to be matched. As the field works its way into the 3-4 complex, Hollingsworth and Simard, that's a dangerous front row for the rest of the field.
Yeah, it is, especially with Chris Simard, who is in points gaining position here, or is it a points gaining mindset, 27 points behind points leader Nate Siefker, who currently sits in the 11th position on this starting grid. So coming out of turn 4, pace car ducks off. The Miami Heat 300 is green here from Homestead Miami Speedway.
And we've got guys changing lanes already as Bergelli immediately changes lanes, jumps down in front of, Bogan was the one that dropped down. I'm sorry. Jeff Bogan did a pretty scary move there on a couple of guys as they get it sorted out, and Bergelli's into the wall in 3.
Yeah, they're 3 wide. A couple of guys, as Butch Davis was in the middle, really had to back out of it as you saw how much his car pushed up the hill. That number 43 of Butch Davis really having to work. But I believe, as you said, it was Kieran Bergelli who was in the wall, and here you see his damaged number 98. I think it might be a... oh, yeah, look, it's a toe issue for the driver of the
right
98
front suspension
Bergelli.
off that car.
Yeah, he's pretty well left hand down at this point as he will bring it into the pits here. Back up front, though, it is Jeff Hollingsworth who has up and left this field here, working on lap 2 of 200. Again, I do apologize as the graphics are really lagging behind here tonight. Not sure what's caused that. But Hollingsworth really has gotten out to just under a second lead over this man, Chris Simard, in the 77. He is on a tear right now.
Almost half the length of the back straightaway is the lead for Hollingsworth right now. Simard, though, under heavy pressure, or was under heavy pressure from Dan Brazington. Brazington kind of got it sorted out with Butch Davis as Ronnie Osmer holds down the final spot in the top 5 as he's side by side with Jeffrey Roulette.
Yep, you saw him on that outside lane, and that's another thing you're going to see here tonight. Multi-lane racing, this outside line here at Homestead Miami Speedway, very powerful to get that run off of these corners, gets around Roulette and actually gets to the right rear corner of Butch Davis. Does Ronnie Osmer. Is that outside line really working for Osmer? He's figured out a way to run it, and he's making it work.
Well, Osmer's no stranger to this facility. He's won numerous times in numerous different series here at Homestead Miami.
Oh, reckon
that was Roulette.
Yep, that was. It's Jeffrey Roulette in the 66, and you can see that new damage model right there as, boy, oh boy. That was a hard hit for Roulette, and the caution is out. Just smacked that wall, and there's the new damage model in place. As we are under our first caution of the evening here, and just we're gonna.
Thank God for wheel tethers.
Yeah, right. Because now, and just think back to a couple weeks ago, the old tire model, that tire would have just been pushed in, and the front corner of that car would have just folded up. That would not have broken off in that fashion.
No, it wouldn't have. And what would have happened with the old damage model, air quotes, would have been that corner of the car would have been about 6 feet above the driver's head,
Yep.
and it never would have gotten fixed.
Yep.
So, Frank, the main office just called and said that we should probably go to a commercial break, sir.
Yep, I had just seen that, and right before that caution, right after that caution came out, I was thinking about it. So we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to try to figure out this graphical issue that we're having, and we will be back prior to the green flag coming out here. So just momentarily, we'll be right back. Just back green flag racing here at the Homestead Miami Speedway as Jeff Hollingsworth has taken the lead here once again, but Samard is right on his outside, and I have a feeling, unfortunately, these graphical issues are not going to be sorted out right now. As Hollingsworth is able to clear Simard for the race lead. Simard now going under him. He's going to try to take it. And again, Simard being down 27 points is really going to need is going to need as much points as he could possibly get. As I think I saw what you're seeing. Is there's Charles Woods sitting down at the base of turn 4.
That was Johnny Antonucci and Charles Woods getting into it in 3, and that's 2 completely destroyed race cars.
I'm surprised the caution didn't come out sooner. It is out now as Charles Woods will take a look at what happened. It just looked like Antonucci just, let's see if he cut a tire down. Again, we'll go back to it. Again, you can see this damage model on display. These tires flapping around with the wheel tethers. Parts and pieces flying off. Well, I'll tell you what, iRacing did one heck of a job with this new damage model.
Absolutely is. It's funny we should mention wheel tethers because I was actually watching a YouTube stream about tires going into the stands back during the split days in open wheel racing in the States. And that was some wild stuff, which is the reason why we have wheel tethers now. So, iRacing definitely did a great job making sure that, these cars react as lifelike as they can now.
Yep, certainly is. The leaders all coming down into pit road here. So I believe Nate Siefker has stayed out. Mike Grandy has stayed out. As pit stops are underway. First time we're seeing these guys bring it into pit lane here tonight. There's a couple of guys, I believe that's Jeffrey Bogan backing up on pit road. And everybody down and away. And the 29 of Brazington spun it out coming out of the box. And unfortunately for him, backs into the wall. That might be some rear wing damage for him.
Yeah, that's the safe bet there. So,
yeah, that's
not a lot. It wasn't bad. It could have been a lot worse.
And you'd seen that on your screen there. I do apologize. I'm trying to work this issue here, and unfortunately, it's not working. I think we're just going to have to live with it. As Mike Grandy yep, that was right. Mike Grandy comes into the pits. That will leave Nate Siefker up at the point. Siefker being the only driver to have not come into pit.
As Brazington bringing it back down pit road to get that rear wing fixed, because that would have been, signing your own death warrant if you would have tried to, continue on with the messed up body panels on that car, because this is one of the cars that did get the new aero update as well. So when you get cars running side by side and you get up near the wall and the aero plays a bigger role than it ever has before in iRacing. And again, that just would have been signing your own death warrant had he not gotten that rear wing fixed.
I think it was Elio Castroneves in a race at the Milwaukee Mile. His rear wing essentially fell off coming out of turn 4. And that thing swapped ends on him incredibly quick. So to have seen that here, that would have left Brazington completely helpless if something like that were to have happened.
Absolutely. Because you don't realize just how much downforce is generated by the wings on these cars. Everybody, it's a ground effects car. It is to an extent, but it's ground effects, but the top wings also generate somewhere in the neighborhood of a ton to a ton and a half worth of extra downforce. Um, that's huge in a car that only weighs what 1,800 pounds
Yeah.
wet.
Hmm.
Um, you figure you're essentially just the rear wing is doubling the weight of the car on the tires. So, and then you add another 2,000 pounds to the front of the car with the front wing. Um, you lose essentially a third of your weight with missing or screwing up one of those aero uh, packages, and you're along for the ride at that point.
Yeah, it's certainly is. Pardon me, I just gotten a message as you had ended that. Pace car about to set off here. We'll talk about another change that iRacing had made that was unique to this track. But Siefker leads them out of turn 4, hits the gas, and we are off and running again here for the third time tonight at the Homestead Miami Speedway. And Siefker really let it go as there goes Rick Ravon into the 4th position. He was the pole sitter for the Indianapolis 500 a couple of weeks ago, really showing his speed again tonight.
Ravon is definitely an oval specialist, but that was actually a heartbreaker. I know we're supposed to stay impartial up here in the announce booth, but to see that race taken away from Rick Ravon the way that it was, that was actually a heartbreaker.
You see Timothy Bates, William Fletcher, and Ronnie Osmer battling there. That is for the 7th position. Bates now getting the better of it. And boy, again, Osmer just flying around that outside, getting right around Will Fletcher. And honestly, Bates has no chance at this one. My goodness, the pace of Osmer tonight.
And we've seen that week in and week out. Osmer is one of those drivers that he's got pace. It's just he can't. He gets caught up in other people's dumpster fires a lot. So while he does have pace, he has no luck. And happy belated birthday to the driver of the 55, as he just turned 21 this past, I believe it was Sunday.
There you go. So happy birthday, Ronnie Osmer. And it's the end of the month. It's going to be happy birthday me here pretty soon as well. But for some of the more keen-eyed viewers that watch a lot of races on iRacing, you guys will have noticed another change that was made specifically for this racetrack. The safer barrier used to be just around the corners. That safer barrier now wraps the entire way around this 1.5 mile oval. So that's another thing that these drivers are going to have to contend with now. That wall is a lot closer than it used to be.
It is. It actually eats up about 6 to 12 inches on corner exit, which is something to keep in the back of your mind, especially if you're running that high line. You don't really have... 6 to 12 inches doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're doing 220 miles an hour, that can be the difference between having to piece the car back onto the trailer to take it back to the shop for a rebuild, or being able to save it.
You see Jeff Hollingsworth running in that inside line. Bless you. Hollingsworth running that inside line. The driver behind him, Chris Samard, working that outside lane. And Samard right now, I'm sure he has to be feeling somewhat okay, knowing that Siefker's on older tires, and if this race goes green, he'll be off cycle from the rest of the leaders. But he also might be working a little bit tense here. Again, 27 points behind, just 2 races to go after tonight. He really needs to make up some ground on that 10.
He does, and it actually, with Siefker being able to lead some laps here, Siefker's got the bonus point in his pocket for tonight for leading at least 1 lap. Samard doesn't.
He does. There's still a couple more graphical issues there. I do apologize. We'll work that out during one of these breaks here. As
Moskowitz off pace.
Who was that?
Dylan Moskowitz was off pace down on the low lane.
See, there he is. There's Dylan Moskowitz in that number 44.
Oh, that's why you're
Stars
coming up on the
machine.
lap car of Beasley. Or not Beasley, Bogan.
Yep. As there is that number 44 Dallas Stars machine. As it looks like a car might have spun off there. Yes, somebody did spin off. That was a hard hit. That was Michael Bourne in the number 19. As boy, he hit that inside wall a ton.
That would explain. That's the orange car that I was seeing then.
Yep.
That he's lucky he still has all four wheels attached to that car.
No, he doesn't. That left front's gone, and he just loses it coming off of turn 4, coming off of turn 2. And no, he lost both left sides.
Yeah, he
the driver
did.
of the 19.
That's a tow.
Yep, and that's unfortunately the end of his night. And one more final change that iRacing had made for this track. We've gone over the safer barriers before. No more grass. At least on the front straightaway, there is no more grass. That is the actual paint that would be on the inside of this circuit. So that will certainly help some of these drivers as far as making moves, just in case somebody gets sent down there, or if something like what happened to Bourne happens again on the front straightaway, give you a little bit of a chance to try to save the car instead of just ending up in the grass. As there goes Ronnie Osborne in the background. Boy, he's able to keep it together, though. Wow, what a save from Osborne.
He had that thing in full lockdown mode, and how he didn't eat a safer barrier, I'll never know.
Again, running this high line, and just a little too much gas on exit. And yep, the second he realized he was going around, that was identical. Oh, and he's around again here.
Well, he's probably flat spotted the tires.
Yep.
And the handling of that car is really thrown off right now. It would not surprise me if it's some. We're under caution.
Yeah, caution's out here. I think it might be for. I think it's for Paul Crumry.
Yes, it
is. Oh,
is.
yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Crumry's. Boy, Crumry's had a major issue here. That's a hard hit. And I think, again, here you could see already. You could see the new damage model in play. We're going to see what happens with it with an accident here. An actual accident is. Oh, wow, that was full-on lag as Crumry having some serious connection issues. And, oh, wow, he got hit by, I believe that's Kevin O'Brien and somebody else there. Oh, might have been Brazington that he got hit by.
Yes, it was. Brazington just caught a race car to the face.
Yeah, he certainly did. And we'll see, because I'm pretty sure these guys are going to be coming into pit here. Working lap 33 of 200. As Nate Siefker will lead the field down to pit road. And this is exactly what Nate Siefker was hoping for. By not coming in, able to stay in the lead, catch a caution at a point in the run where everybody else would need to pit, and then come out and take full advantage. And instead of having to pass all of those cars on track, get to the lead by pit strategy.
The only downside is, as Rick Ravon slides through his stall, the only downside is it's going to be a little bit longer for Siefker to fuel than it is for everyone else. So Hollingsworth down and away, and
Siefker wins the race off pit road.
Not by much.
And you had mentioned that Rick Ravon had slid through his pit box. So did Butch Davis. He slid through and had to back up as well. So Butch Davis now goes tumbling down the order. And also a good time for this caution for Ronnie Osmer. He had just come in after spinning out a couple of times. And now he's back here on the back end of the lead lap. He'll be getting his lap back here.
Yeah, so that's some good news for him. As it looks like everybody that's a lap down is going to be pretty much staying out to try to get at least one of their laps back. So you got Roulette, Osmer, Antonucci. No, they're coming in.
Well, those guys are. You're right. Yes, it's Michael Bourne, Kevin O'Brien coming in right now. Charles Woods in that group as well. So as we work our second caution here, we're going to make one last swing to try to rectify these graphical issues that we're having. We will be right back here momentarily. You're watching the Miami Heat 300 on ESPN. And unfortunately, we've gotten to a point now where we just have to accept that these graphical issues are not going to be fixed here tonight. Jeffrey Bogan currently leading the field here after not coming into pit lane this time through. So Bogan will set the pace as the pace car ducks off, working lap 37 when we take the green flag here. There goes Bogan. We are down and away. Racing again here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Siefker getting a very good start going into turn one, able to stick right with the driver of the 28 Bogan. As Siefker now going to the inside. This is for the race lead here, as Siefker will not be able to clear, but he will certainly be on the inside, and you can tell just how much that outside lane works. As you see in the background there, that's Rick Ravon going for the third position on Jeff Hollingsworth. As Ravon still fighting on the inside lane, a big wreck. I'm having to assume it was Moskowitz. Oh, no, that was Moskowitz there.
Butch Davis was involved in it, though.
See, there's, oh wow, there is Butch Davis. No front nose cone. Right front tire gone. Seeing Johnny Antonucci might have been involved in this.
Kevin O'Brien got a piece of it. Looks like Bourne.
Yeah, there's Moskowitz. Let's see here.
Moskowitz was a lap before that.
Oh, wow. Bourne spinning down the back. There's Antonucci. Boy, these guys are putting this damage model on full display here tonight.
Yeah, Moskowitz is the reason why Butch Davis is missing his nose to begin with.
Yeah, we had seen that.
And then half a track later, all hell broke loose.
It's Antonucci and Bourne.
Antonucci, Bourne, and O'Brien.
Yeah. O'Brien and O'Brien and Davis looking fairly synchronized. So those guys both missing their front wings, and their snoot is pushed over to the right, to both of them.
Yeah. And Johnny Antonucci has nothing on the nose of his car. It's a tub. That's it.
So Nate Siefker was able to take the lead away from Jeffrey Bogan prior to the caution. Rick Ravon, however, was not able to take the third position away from Jeff Hollingsworth prior to the caution flag. So it will be Siefker, Bogan, Hollingsworth, Ravon, and Bates, your top 5 as we work lap 40 of 200 here at Homestead Miami Speedway under our 4th caution of the evening. And for these guys, this is their first time racing in 2 weeks. Their first time at Homestead Miami Speedway probably in about 5 or 6 months.
Longer than that.
Yeah, and on a brand new tire model, brand new aero package, a brand new configuration technically to the track with the changes to the safer barrier. So there's a lot of learning being done here in these first 40 laps.
Yeah, and it's to be expected. Not quite at the quarter mark, but I think a lot of these guys have already learned a ton. Short field tonight, though, which is to kind of be expected with the holiday season upon us. It's, would you rather spend time with your family, or would you rather spend time? Never mind, don't answer that question.
Yeah, I think we know that answer.
But and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that we have, speaking of family, a certain very important person to the entire Sim Racers Edge family being able to watch us tonight. So if you are seeing this, Chris Walker, we're glad you're hopefully feeling well enough to be able to watch this.
And we apologize that of all the nights to have graphical issues, that tonight was the night. As Siefker currently leading here, we're about to go back to green flag racing here, working lap 42 of 200. And there you see the Get Well Chris Walker emblem that has been on our website, has been up for these races, and has been on the Team Voodoo Racing cars all pretty much since the road race in Indianapolis. So Chris, we're definitely thinking of you, and your team carries you every single week as we head through the end of the season.
Absolutely. As Michael Bourne has put it on the hauler.
I believe Kieran Bergelli has put it on the hauler as well. As I believe, so that would mean we have 16 drivers still running here, with Moskowitz being the last one. As the pace car ducks off, Siefker immediately gets out and away, and that leaves Jeffrey Bogan to have to deal with Rick Ravon and Jeff Hollingsworth. Ravon makes the aggressive move to the inside, gets past Hollingsworth, and will try now to get to the outside of Jeffrey Bogan. But as they slide up the racetrack coming out of turn 2, Bogan's going to hold the position. Yep, that's Osmer again, and again he gets away with no damage. Good hands driver of the race.
No luck. I take that back, because that was all luck right there. How he did not hit anything.
Now, this is the battle for second here that you're seeing between Jeff Hollingsworth and Rick Ravon. Ravon on the outside, Hollingsworth on the inside. As Ravon with that outside lane is going to have that momentum coming off the corner. But Hollingsworth able to not push up coming out of coming out of 4, pardon me, as much as we've seen other drivers do, killing off that momentum, is able to stick Ravon on that outside, is still fending off his position beautifully down low.
Hollingsworth has probably as much seat time as anybody on the track right now in this car. Just been putting in the hours, putting in the grind to make sure he knows what this new tire model is going to do. So he's definitely put in the practice to to know what in-car adjustments he has to make sure that he's quick and safe.
And he has now. Oh, hey, we got SDK working.
Yay!
There we go. We're seeing live timing finally. I don't know what the heck happened, but we see live timing. So now those graphics are correct, as Siefker and Ravon now battle for first and second. About 1.25 seconds between the two as we hit the quarter distance mark.
Siefker, Ravon, Hollingsworth, Bogan, Brazington, your top 5, and Chris Simard, who went down pit road to get some fresh tires under that last caution, is back up to 7th after restarting in 11th. So,
you see him right there, has to really keep it pinched down on that inside lane to avoid sliding up into Timothy Bates in the 6. A little bit of a kiss to the wall going into turn 3 for the 77. That's not going to hurt him too much, as there you see the Indianapolis 500 winner, Butch Davis, sitting right behind him.
And I did see the picture that Butch posted on his Facebook page after winning it. He was drinking milk, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the only way you can celebrate it. And boy, what a finish to that race it was. With everything that happened, how close it got between Siefker and Davis hitting the wall, losing the lead, and then right at the other end of the track, Siefker making probably the most un-Nate Siefker move by losing it on his own, coming out of turn 4, and then the race ending under caution from there.
Yeah, that was it was definitely a wild finish. But yeah, huge win for Butch Davis, driving the John Andretti tribute paint scheme that night, driving with the JA shirt on. So huge win. And again, hats off to Butch Davis for being able to do that, as he now works on the back of Chris Simard, as both he and Simard have gotten by Timmy Bates.
Yeah, both of those guys have been working the inside line. Both the 77 of Simard and Butch Davis have both been working that inside line and making it work. Meanwhile, guys up front like Rick Ravon and Jeff Hollingsworth and Siefker as well are rim riding here and showing you the speed you can get on that outside lane as Ravon running a little bit closer to the middle.
Yeah, Ravon about a car width and a half off that outside wall, trying to keep his tires out of the marbles, especially on corner exit, because with that new safer barrier all the way around this place, real easy to get it wrong on corner exit. So, Ravon erring on the side of caution, but Siefker's got that number 10 set on kill right now.
And you could see all of the wall brushes on the outside safer barrier, especially through 3 and 4, that big long one that goes through the middle of 3 and 4. Those might not have been made by the cars on track, but that's certainly a very ominous sign for these guys. You get too close to that, this is what's going to happen.
Absolutely is.
Looking back through the field, Butch Davis and Chris Simard now battling for that 6th position. Butch Davis on the inside lane, giving plenty of room to Simard, and now this is where you would think Davis has the run, but with how much you push up the racetrack on corner exit here, it's really an easy defense for Simard.
And with the progressive banking here, Simard was able to carry a little more speed through the corner and get the run down the straightaway, as he's able to keep Butch Davis at bay for right now, as those guys are still going at it, and You can see Davis dive it in there on corner entry, but just the corner exit speed that Samard is able to carry, is really helping. You can see it right there as they work their way out of turn number 4. Davis kind of had to jump on the binders to not get into Samard, and Samard was able to just keep it wound right up.
Ronnie Osmer has had an issue. He's brushed the wall through 3 and 4. Spun around, did not hit the inside wall, although he came incredibly close, and then towed it from there. So the driver of the 55 continues to have an absolutely horrendous night as he gets put another lap down by the race leader, Nate Siefker, whose lead when Rayvon took the second position away from Hollingsworth was at almost 2 seconds. After Rayvon came back, after Rayvon had cleared Hollingsworth, he had got it down to just over a second. Now Siefker's starting to pull it back out. It's at 1.2 seconds now, the difference between first and second.
As Ronnie Osmer and Dylan Moskowitz both put it on the hauler, Butch Davis finally got by Chris Samard and just full send-it mode coming through 3 and 4 and just jumped up in front of Samard. Samard had no choice but to let him go.
If this is another one of those tracks, just like Las Vegas, where it was originally flat and then it got the repave. I believe it was 2003 that this track got its repave, and it's been the high bankings, the high progressive bankings ever since. But it wasn't until recently where the outside line was really king around here.
That's because everybody realized that you could carry a lot more speed in that outside, and that's when it really started to come into play, especially during the full fendered stuff that they used to run here with that group down in Florida. But they found out that during their championship weekend that you could carry more speed on that second lane, and that's when it really started to come into play, especially during the truck series that they ran. But these guys are putting on a hell of a show now that they've kind of figured it out. They've gotten their bearings about them with how the new tire model is going to react, how the new aero package is going to react. These guys are kind of settling in for the grind right now as we are just past the quarter mark.
They have certainly spread out. This is the closest battle we have on track right now. This is a battle for the 5th position between Dan Brazington, Butch Davis, and Chris Samard. Siefker still holding that 1.2 second lead. Hollingsworth has fallen to about that same distance off of Rick Rayvon in 3rd. Jeffrey Bogan, having only pit on lap 14, he's going to have to come in soon for fuel. But the driver of the 28 has done a really good job, and I believe he's coming in right now. Yep, there he is on the inside access road, coming into pit road. But Jeffrey Bogan did a fantastic job sitting up there at the top, locks it down to make sure he gets in. I'm not sure. That might have been an admin's decision to force them to take the access road, but that's not something you usually have to do around here.
Under green, they requested it during the drivers' meeting to make sure that you weren't trying to dive in off of 4, especially considering where the cone placement is for the commitment cone. It would just be way too difficult. So they said, you guys are taking the access road. That way everybody's safe. But as Butch Davis finally gets by Dan Brazington, moving him up into the number 4 slot, and now he's got yeoman's work to do to try to reel in Jeff Hollingsworth for 3rd.
That's the pass right there for that 4th position. Brazington trying to keep it wound up on that outside lane. Unfortunately, just could not. As Siefker now holding the lead. As we mentioned, that access road in 3 and 4. iRacing mandates that you take the access road coming out of pit road because that's where the pit exit cones are. If you do not take that access road, even if you stay on the apron through turns 1 and 2, you get an unsafe release or an unsafe pit exit penalty. So iRacing requires you to take that access road coming out, but it does not require you to take it coming in.
And it sounds like we might be having some green flag pit stops getting ready to start.
As I believe Rick Ravon has come in. Yep, there is the driver of the number 5, Rick Ravon. Really locking it down coming into pit road. And for Ravon, that's an interesting decision for him because he was really catching Nate Siefker. And now here comes Siefker. Siefker's slow and low on that inside lane. He might be bringing it down now yep, there he goes. And a big slide from Siefker. He's going to be able to keep it on track. Keeps it out of the wall, but man, Siefker really had to work to keep that car under control. And that's another thing, another reason why you might just say, you know what, I'll take the time hit by taking that access road. That looked a heck of a lot more dangerous than Bogan's entrance.
Absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why they said, you know, use your head out there. And unfortunately, Siefker just lost a ton of track position. He's probably going to go at least a lap down here, trying to get it back to the pits.
Siefker coming in again, and there he goes, brings it again, just another twitch, and hits the cone, hits the wall on pit entry, and just a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes from Nate Siefker. We saw it a couple of laps prior to the pit stop starting. Siefker was really twitchy coming off of 4. So that 10 was unstable to begin with. Now has put him in a little bit of danger here.
He put him in a lot bit of danger here as looks like Samard getting ready to bring it pit side. And, you know, this could be huge before everything shakes out. You know, depending on who's going to end up where, as Siefker is already 1 lap down, getting ready to go a 2nd lap down. And there it goes as Hollingsworth flashes by, who is your current race leader.
It's clearly under driver discretion here because we saw Dan Brazington taking the access road in turn 3. Chris Samard did not take the access road and came into pit road. So that access road is a driver's discretion deal. And if you're willing to risk it, you go for it. But, you know, what we just saw happen to Nate Siefker is there you see the 10 behind the 97 as Siefker 2 laps down now to the leader. 1 from his spin going in, and then 2 for his longer stop, most likely to replace the front wing.
Absolutely. And if you're Hollingsworth right now, you're kind of hoping for a caution as currently there's only 5 cars on the lead lap. It's Hollingsworth, Davis, Bates, Fletcher, and O'Brien.
And Jeffrey Roulette, Rick Ravon, Jeffrey Bogan, Chris Samard, Dan Brazington, all of those guys that are 1 lap down would be taking the free pass since they had just pit. But that 97 of Hollingsworth is really trying to stick it out there as long as he possibly can, and honestly not really being caught up too much by the driver of the 10, Nate Siefker. So Hollingsworth was in big-time conservation mode, and it's really paying off, as I believe that was O'Brien that's on his way into pit road.
It was.
May not have been, actually. I think it was Paul. No, it was Paul Crumry who is in pit road in the number 3.
Absolutely. And while we're thinking about it, if you like the action that you're seeing here tonight, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, share, turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single bit of action here on the ESPN family of broadcasts.
As here comes Jeff Hollingsworth into pit road, so that will gift Butch Davis the race lead. And you're right, and a couple of announcements to be made. Well, one, the sponsor announcement for these guys with Turn Sim Racing. And Tony, I do not have the read in front of me, unfortunately. So could you tell the fine folks about
Turn Sim Racing? Turn Sim Racing is bridging the gap between sim sport and the real world of motorsport with a group of high-quality sim peripherals based on real-world designs, but with the I can English tonight, really, with the the stuff that sim racers need.
There you go.
And they offer everything from plug-and-play units for all the popular sim rigs out there to 3D printer files, so you can 3D print your own pieces if needed. You can find their link in the video description below, and let them know that Sim Racers Edge sent you to help show your support for the league.
And Butch Davis on his way in. You just saw Timothy Bates and Will Fletcher in the pits. Kevin O'Brien right now is currently your race leader as he gets passed by Paul Crumry, who has already come into pit road. Rick Ravon and Jeff Hollingsworth, those two back on track. Those guys have gotten their laps back the hard way. So right now, as it sits, this man right here, the number 5, Rick Ravon, would be the race leader when pit stops cycle out. And unfortunately, I'm starting to realize that we're having, oh, there it goes again. Our graphics are starting to lag just a little bit again as Kevin O'Brien continues to stay out. And O'Brien, it's not like O'Brien had come in under the last caution. He came in recently. He came in on lap 39. The rest of these guys only came in on lap 33. So he's put a decent amount of time on these tires.
He came in on lap 33 to have to rebuild that car. He burned his fast repair for that during that time too.
Lap 39, my apologies.
As he's calling his pit this time, he's almost bingo on fuel. But yeah, O'Brien, the last time he was down pit road, it was to burn his fast repair because we saw him get caught up in that melee with Butch Davis, and I believe it was Johnny Antonucci was one of the other ones involved in that one, that pretty much just annihilated O'Brien's car.
And here is your effective race leader right now. It is Rick Ravon in the number 5 as we work lap 83 of 200 here tonight. And yep, I think our graphics department is shutting down again for the night, as Ravon now currently holding that race lead. Jeff Hollingsworth sitting in the 2nd position. Butch Davis has come out in 3rd position. Nate Siefker has fallen all the way back to the 9th position after coming in from the race lead. Has gotten both of those laps back as the driver of the number 10. And he is right now, again, sitting in that 9th position, which really has to hurt.
Absolutely. Especially with Samard currently sitting in the number 4 slot, that's huge points implications if they can maintain that right now, as we are 115 laps to go in this one, so quite a bit of racing left to do. But Ravon currently shows the way as Hollingsworth starting to reel him in.
Yep, Jeff Hollingsworth last lap put in a 26.13. Rick Ravon was a 26.39. So Hollingsworth is starting to close in on the driver of the number 5. Butch Davis currently sitting 5.5 seconds behind this group in the 3rd position. Then it's another 3.5 seconds back to Chris Samard, who occupies the 4th position. And then Jeffrey Bogan right behind him, just under a second behind the driver of the 77, continuing his solid form of pace here tonight, sitting in the 5th position.
And Bogan's one of those silent drivers that we haven't heard a lot from him this season, but he's putting in a solid performance here tonight in Miami.
10 guys on the lead lap right now. Only 14 remain, as Mike Grandy and Jeffrey Roulette are the only 2 drivers that are 1 lap down. Charles Woods currently sitting 4 laps down in the 13th position, and Paul Crumry is 16 laps down in 14th position right now. As you can see, this battle up here at the front, as Rick Ravon getting around Will Fletcher to put him a lap down in the number 37. This gap here between Hollingsworth and Ravon really starting to come down as Hollingsworth has found his groove and is really hunting down that 5.
On brand new tires, Ravon might be a little bit quicker. Once you've worn the goodie off the tires, Hollingsworth seems to have the stronger of the two cars.
It certainly does appear that way. Is the closest battle beyond these two, the two up at the front, is the battle for the 4th position. Simard and Bogan, just about a second separating these two. These are the battle for 4th position. There you see Bogan just going off the right-hand portion of your screen.
Who was that in the wall?
Yep, that's Mike Grandy in the wall in the 52. And tell me his suspension didn't break, because it looked as though his right front came off there.
Let me go look. Yes, it did.
It's a good thing we're on the iRacing portal tonight, because there's something that could be fixed. As now here comes Mike Grandy into pit road, or thought he was.
Yeah, that right front suspension snapped right off and then miraculously went back into place. Not sure exactly what was going on there, but anyways.
And as I would say with my former broadcast partner, as you do. and speaking of my former broadcast partner, Sam Cooper Bennett, since I will not be available tomorrow for the USRA Cup Series race at Talladega tomorrow night, Sam, for the first time since prior to the Thanksgiving break, Sam Cooper Bennett will be in the booth tomorrow night, calling round 6 of the USRA season at Talladega.
Okay. So we're getting the team back together.
It's a one night only deal, but Sam, for the first time since just prior to Thanksgiving, will be back calling an ESPN broadcasted race.
So the two founders of the company
are going to scare the living daylights out of USRA, yes.
Okay. You do realize what you've just done, right?
I hope I do.
You just got the Bofa band back together.
Yeah, you did. Yes, I did. So that's going to be exciting tomorrow. I will be watching from a hotel room.
That would explain why your graphics are messed up.
Well, no, I'm not in the hotel room as we speak. I am on my home rig right now. But yeah, that will be fun. That'll be exciting tomorrow night to hear Sam back in the booth. As we are just under the century mark here at Homestead Miami Speedway. There you see the gap between first and second. Rick Ravon currently holding a 1.3 second lead over Jeff Hollingsworth. Butch Davis in third. Chris Simard sitting in the 4th position, and Jeffrey Bogan sitting in 5th. And Bogan has really closed the gap down on Chris Simard over these last couple laps. And I think Simard just touched the wall coming out of 4.
Let me go look. There's a good possibility as I'm seeing a little bit of wing damage on the 77. Yeah, he did. He brushed one of those long black marks in the middle of the corner. He brushed it.
Just see how much that car washes up the racetrack as we ride on board with Jeffrey Bogan right now. And with that car washing up, it's like a giant parachute that's coming out behind your car. Just takes it right off. It takes all of your speed off. Those guys now side by side. Dan Brazington, you can see him lurking in the background there as Jeffrey Bogan takes over the 4th spot from Chris Simard.
And Samard's got to be careful because, he had the opportunity to come out of here with a good points night tonight, knowing that Michigan's in 2 weeks. And
there goes Samard.
And there you go.
Oh, and that's big, as there goes Chris Samard's chances of having a top flight finish, at least, as we've seen it happen already tonight.
Jeepers.
Just getting loose off of turn 2. That one was a little bit further down the straightaway. But Samard hit that inside wall a ton, and I believe William Fletcher also had an incident. This coming same exact spot. Pow!
Same exact damage, too.
Yep. And then right behind, you can see in that replay, you can see Samard coming in behind. Boy, that's interesting. As I believe Rick Ravon in pit road for another green flag pit stop. That's interesting.
Well, that's about right.
Ravon, that's about 30 laps.
No.
Yeah, Ravon came in at like 75. This is 101. Hollingsworth came in on lap 76, and Ravon came in a good 3 or 4 laps before Hollingsworth.
Well, they only got 81% fuel fill tonight. So, depending on how high they had the wick turned up.
Boy, you can see even Hollingsworth. Boy, that's...
And Samard has put it on the hauler.
Yeah, as you could imagine. And we were just talking about how Samard could really use a good finish here tonight. And that right there, now that really helps Nate Stiefker. It also helps Butch Davis, because now with that, Davis only came in 11 points behind Chris Samard, as now Jeffrey Bogan hits pit road. Davis only came in 11 points behind Chris Samard in third place in points. So this helps Butch Davis out quite a bit as well heading into Michigan.
Yeah, that's huge points implications there. As
you can see,
bring the points up here. Yeah, only 11 points back. Mike Sturgill, who I don't believe is here tonight, was only...
Sturgill did not start, no.
He was only 9 points back from Davis, and only 12 points in front of Jeffrey Roulette, who is going to have a huge night. Mark Walker's not here tonight. Dan Brazington is going to move into the top 5 after tonight.
Currently sitting third place as pit stop cycle through.
Brett Beasley showed up, but is not going to get hardly any points. So that's going to let Timmy Bates jump him. Jeff Bogan should be jumping Beasley as well. Wubker's not here tonight. And we've already seen the problems that Ronnie Osmer's had. And Jeff Hollingsworth could very easily move into the top 10 in points tonight, as he's currently coming into tonight. It was 14th in points.
And that's because Hollingsworth has not been at every single race. He's had plenty of good performances to keep him up towards the top in the standings. However, he has not had the consistency in showing up to keep him there. But another good night going for the driver of the 97, as you just saw him get past Nate Stiefker, who was coming out of pit road. Dan Brazington hit pit road as well, while Tony was bringing you up to date on the standings. As there is Brazington right now exiting pit road. And there you see the gap all the way back to Rick Ravon, and it looks like the 43 of Butch Davis, I forgot, has not pit yet.
As we are 90 laps to go in this thing.
90 laps to go of 200. This has been a lot quicker, a 200 lapper, than what was 2 weeks ago at Indianapolis. These are the 200 lappers I don't mind.
Well, you got to figure that the track's a whole mile shorter, and there's room to make moves here that there's not at Indy. You look at the track from the air, from the white stripe to the wall, it doesn't seem like it's any wider. But when you get a camera view, say, down the back straightaway, you can see that this track is significantly wider than IMS.
And most crucial, multi-grooved as well. You can run the inside here. You can run the outside. Indianapolis, it is strictly a one-groove racetrack. And if you're not in that one groove, sorry, son, you're falling back. As you see Nate Siefker get one of his 2 laps back from the race leader, Jeff Hollingsworth. And now Hollingsworth has gotten himself into a position where he has gone, 13 more laps now than Rick Ravon has. And Ravon will come out of this pit cycle as the effective race leader in the number 5. So that, I'm not sure if that's a pit strategy for Ravon to make sure he can cover himself towards the end of the race, or if Hollingsworth is running in a lower engine mode that's allowing him to stay out as long as he is. But he's just put an extra 14 laps. Rick Ravon came in on lap 101. Hollingsworth last pit on lap 76. So this is 40 laps, nearly 40 laps on this set of fuels and set of tires.
0.3 of a second difference between Hollingsworth and Ravon on their last lap under Angers. Hollingsworth's a little bit sideways, trying to drop it down onto the apron. Gets down to the 50-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit. But yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Hollingsworth is definitely playing the fuel mileage game right now. Trying to see how far can he stretch a tank if he has to.
And that gives the answer to that would be just under 40 laps. I believe 39 laps would be the go. As that is.
Oh, he slides through a stall.
Yep, there's Jeff Hollingsworth there. Yeah, it's showing on my timing here. Hollingsworth enters the pits, leaves pits 0.2 seconds, re-enters, and then goes on his pit stop. So a little bit of a mistake there for Jeff Hollingsworth. That's going to set him even further behind Rick Ravon when these pit stops cycle through. Only 3 drivers have not yet pit. We'll make it 2 now that Timothy Bates hits pit road. Just Butch Davis, Butch Davis made a late entry into pit road there, and Kevin O'Brien will now assume the race lead once again. O'Brien pitting last on lap 82.
As Ravon essentially takes over the race lead, Kevin O'Brien was far enough back behind Butch Davis that he might not get credited with leading a lap. It all depends on how long he stays out and so on. I mean, he's already got the 1 bonus point for leading a lap. So not too big of a concern there. But there's a 10-second gap between Ravon and Hollingsworth right now.
And that was only a second and a half prior to Ravon's pit stop. As Hollingsworth, now this is him going through turns 3 and 4, as Rick Ravon is already going onto the back straightaway as Hollingsworth crosses the line. About a half a track is the gap between Ravon and Hollingsworth, a gap that was, at one point, as I mentioned, just a second and a half.
It was less than that at one point, too. I mean, Hollingsworth was actually pressuring Ravon within about 3 car lengths at one point.
Hollingsworth, however, sets a purple first half of the lap. He will go, I believe he'll go green on the second half of this lap. The only driver on track that is in the 125s, in the 25-second bracket, hit a 25.99. Ravon on the lap he just completed right now, a 26.4. So that difference of 14 laps on the tires between Hollingsworth and Ravon really helping. As you see there on the bottom of the screen, that's Nate Siefker around and losing his left front wheel.
That is huge for the driver of the 10 as he takes it down the access road to make sure. And something's going on with Kevin O'Brien. He might be out of fuel.
Take a second here. O'Brien, here he comes into pit road now. Well, whatever happened with O'Brien, he's certainly able to make it into pit road. But there is your points leader, missing a left front corner on his number 10, Dallara. He'll get it back with the fast repair, but here's what happened. Any guesses?
Had to chase it down the hill coming off of 2.
Yeah, very good. And hits that wall, as we've seen so many times. That turn 2 wall has bitten, the inside of turn 2 has bitten half the field at least once here tonight.
And it's because of the transition coming off of the progressive banking coming out of turn 2. If you're not mindful of that bump in that second lane, when you transition off the banking from the corner to the straightaway, there is a sizable bump that you're going to hit. The only thing I can liken it to is as you're driving down the road and you see those signs that say bump ahead or dip ahead, and you're driving down the highway, we've all seen them, and all of a sudden the car just goes ka-thunk and falls out from underneath you. Well, you know how it feels at 55 miles an hour on the highway. These guys are doing it at 220 miles an hour. If you don't stay on top of it and know exactly where you are on track, it's very easy to have the back end of the car wash out, and then you're chasing it from there. And it's bitten everybody that's wadded it off of turn 2 tonight.
I mean, just off the top of my head, Jeffrey Roulette, Nate Seifert, Charles Woods, Chris Simard, Mike Grandy, Ronnie Osmer, Johnny Antonucci, Michael Bourne, Kieran Brigelli. That's half the field already, and that's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, basically everybody that is...
everyone who's no longer participating in the race tonight.
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody from 8th back has hit that bump. Let me say that again. Everybody from 8th back. So...
And again, that also has to do with the new aero model, the new tire model, throwing these guys a little bit of a loop. As this is the first time they're taking these cars in anger, as we've mentioned, in more than 6 months around this track. A new tire model, new aero model, new remodeling on the circuit. There's a new aero wall proximity physics that was added in this most recent build. So these drivers are dealing with a lot of new things in their first time in anger around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it add to that the fact that, the last time we were here, it was the first time they were able to play with the weight jackers and the ARB adjustments. So, they only had one shot at playing with all of that stuff. Now we're adding all this other stuff on top of it. And, it's... Hold on, let me lay down and I'll let you kick me in the teeth while we're at it.
And you can see here at the bottom of your screen the lap differential between the leader Rick Ravon and Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth has been catching Ravon by at least 0.2 a lap every single lap. He's now down to 6.5 seconds from what was a 10-second gap. As we'll see what this last lap was, another 1/10.5 that Hollingsworth was able to take out of Rick Ravon's lead. So Ravon, again, I have to think those 14-lap older tires might really be hurting him
here. It is going to hurt him later in the run, but if this stays green, and you can get your hate mail coming now, folks, I really don't care anymore. If this stays green, I kind of like Ravon's chances.
You've already wrecked Samard, so there's that.
I did no such thing.
Well, we were talking about him needing a good night, and then immediately, as you said that, he spun off it too.
All I said was he's got to look at the big picture.
And he found a big wall instead.
Well, it was a big picture. It was a big picture on his screen of a safer barrier coming in his head.
Oh, thank you, Tony. I needed that.
You're welcome. I may not be good for much, but I can be used as a bad example and comic relief, not necessarily in that order.
As Rick Rayfon completes lap 133, working on lap 134 of 200. Just 6 cars currently sit on the lead lap here. It's Rick Rayvon, Jeff Hollingsworth, Butch Davis, Jeffrey Bogan continuing his fantastic run in the 4th position. Dan Brazington, Kevin O'Brien, the only drivers that currently sit on the lead lap, pardon me. Timothy Bates is the only driver that is 1 lap down at the moment in the 6. Then it is Jeffrey Roulette, Nate Siefker, Charles Woods, and Paul Crumry, the only 11 drivers that are remaining on circuit right now. And from what we've seen out of the iRacing caution system, not just for this build and for this race, but we've also seen it for after the last build as well. Unless something major happens, I'm expecting this thing to go green the rest of the way.
Yeah, iRacing has gotten pretty stingy on their cautions, and part of me likes that, and part of me doesn't like that. The driver in me likes it from the standpoint of, okay, it's no more ticky-tack, why is the caution out? Oh, somebody threw a shoe on the track. No, they didn't. But from the other devil's advocate portion of me says, okay, in the real world, that would have been a caution, that would have been a caution, that would have been a caution. It's a safety issue because you got somebody spinning out and then trying to get back up to speed, merging unsafely back out onto the racing surface. That's how you get people hurt. I mean, yeah, we are in a simulator, and while we have seen some pretty spectacular crashes tonight, we haven't had a thank God this is a simulator moment. Thank goodness. But it's kind of a double-edged sword. You're trying to push it into somebody's neck, and you're slicing the hell out of your hand at the same time.
There is Dan Brazington, who currently occupies the last of the top 5 positions. And as we saw earlier, Siefker's hit that inside wall hard. That would have, in real life, that would have been a caution. Synchronized wrecking with Will Fletcher and Chris Samard, that would have been a real life caution. Ronnie Osmer had spun off of turn 4. Antonucci, Moskowitz, they've all had major incidents coming off of turn 2. And that's, again,
Rayvon's in.
There's Rick Rayvon. Ooh, big slide into pit road. Now the question is, did he get it down in time?
Just barely.
Wow. So Rayvon pushing it to the limit on pit road entry. Does not slide through his box this time.
Yellow's out.
Yep, and there is the caution. Not sure what.
Siefker.
Yep, there's Siefker. He might have spun it on pit entry again.
No.
right after the caution. Yep, there he goes.
It wasn't on pit entry, though. It was just the middle of the corner.
Yeah, you're right. And then after that, decides to take it to pit road. So this has been just an unbelievably uncharacteristic night. 4-hour points leader, Nate Siefker, as we are under caution for the 5th time tonight, and the first time since the caution back at lap 39.
It's been a wild night down here at Homestead, Miami. That's for darn sure.
And now turn 4 being the one to bite the hand. And for Rick Rayvon, somewhat lucky. As, yes, he is caught a lap down at the moment, but will not have to pit, as he was in pit road when the caution came out. As here comes the rest of the field.
And actually, they banged him for unsafe pit exit.
Oh, did they? Is that confirmed, Ravon, unsafe pit exit?
Yeah.
Well, so there goes that. So there's the back of the end of the longest line for Rick Ravon.
I will be right back. I got to go explain this to someone.
I think we're going to see. Channel. And if we can find it here, we'll try to see what happened as Ravon. Here he comes. Here's Ravon in pit road, completing his pit stop. And again, remember, you have to take the access road on pit exit. The caution is already out here. He takes the access road. Oh, I think it was because he turned up around the pace car. Is why he gets the unsafe pit exit there. I think that might be the reason why Ravon is going to get sent to the back of the line. Which is unfortunate for him, because we've seen a lot of instances this season where you can go through that pace car. It does not damage you to drive through the pace car. But I think him going around the pace car is what gave him that unsafe pit exit penalty.
And that's exactly what happened. When he went to go around the pace car, he put two tires over the line, and unfortunately, that's not going to bode well.
Nope, and Ravon stopping there to let the line go by him now. As Ravon, who would have been in race lead right now, it's not that bad of a penalty as far as positions go. As far as track position, yes. As far as race position, no. He'll stay, I believe, in the 7th position behind Timothy Bates. As Bates was the last car on the lead lap.
You are correct, sir.
Here goes Bates around him. So as far as track position goes, yes, it's a bad penalty for Ravon to take, but it's as far as race position, overall race position, it's not like he went from 1st to 20th. He's only going from 1st to 7th. As lights are out on the Ford Mustang pace car. We'll be restarting this race with 55 laps to go of 200. Jeff Hollingsworth, Butch Davis, Dan Brazington, Jeff Bogan, and Kevin O'Brien. We've spoken all night about Jeffrey Bogan having such a good run. Kevin O'Brien is another guy that we see a lot just sort of hanging out in the middle, the back of the pack, just kind of letting the race around him happen, not really taking the race by the horns and going after it. And tonight, that served him very well. He's in a top 5 position.
And we've seen him lead a couple of laps. We've also seen him take a race car to the face, though.
Yep, so he is certainly going to be looking to try to keep that. He does have Rick Ravon behind him, though, so that won't help him all that much. As the pace car ducks on off, Hollingsworth waits till the car is straight and then just completely leaves Butch Davis in the dust. He is a second ahead of the field before they even get to the start line.
And Davis apologizing to everybody behind him, saying that he was in the wrong gear on the restart, and the car just did not spool the turbo on him. As Brazington throws it to the inside going into 3, I know that is going to make the father-in-law happy, as we had some chat earlier from this is the father-in-law, Ben Brazington, stay out front, exclamation point.
You know, Jeffrey Bogan, you see him make a big power move around the 43 of Butch Davis. He now goes to the inside of Dan Brazington coming out of 2. He's going to take the position in 3 and 4. Jeffrey Bogan into the second position now.
And I think Brazington, he had to chase it up the hill a little bit in 3 and 4, gets it collected, and he's got Butch Davis right there with him, both of them working the inside of Bogan right now. But Bogan's having a hell of a run. This is something we've been waiting to see all season long. This mile and a half here at Homestead, Miami seems to be falling right into his wheelhouse.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job here tonight. And remember, he got up to the front on pit strategy as well. When everybody came in on the caution on lap 33, Bogan stayed out, having pit on lap 14. And that got him up to the front where he is right now. Was able to stay in the top 5 as green flag pit stop started to cycle through. And as drivers started to wreck, he was able to stay on track. So Jeffrey Bogan putting together a fantastic race. As you can see in the background, Rick Ravon already pressuring Butch Davis and Dan Brazington.
As Davis throws to the inside of Brazington going into 1, Ravon stalking both of them. He's going to try the undercut on Brazington coming off of 2. As Davis already got by, here comes Ravon to try to put Brazington behind him. That could have gotten ugly. As
Close.
Nate Seifker has already made the statement, he's just riding right now to salvage as many points as he can out of tonight.
Yeah, Nate Seifker running 3 laps down in the 9th position right now. Has had a couple of mistakes here tonight. One earlier while he was in the race lead, trying to get onto pit road, spun it out, had to go back around. As Ravon now slings it to the outside of Dan Brazington in that number 5, and you can just see how much power he has when he has that car wound up on the outside lane. He's going to try to take the same momentum around Butch Davis. Unfortunately, Davis just a little bit too far away for the driver of that number 5, as Ravon really making an impression here tonight.
Ravon not running the entire season, was committed to another league when the season started. Look for him to join these guys for season 2 for its entirety, though, as he possibly has found a new home for Wednesday night racing. As Davis getting his rear view mirrors filled with that Gould Charge number 5 of Ravon right now, and 2 of the most iconic names and iconic paint schemes ever to grace the Brickyard. The STP colors of Brazington and the Gould Charge of Ravon. Johnny Rutherford making the STP cars famous in the 80s. John Andretti running a similar paint scheme, and then Ravon running the Rick Mears Indianapolis winning car right now. So a lot of classic paint schemes out there tonight.
Ravon getting around Butch Davis for that 3rd position. Davis not letting him go, as Jeffrey Bogan has gotten away from these guys by a little over a second. Jeff Hollingsworth still sitting a second and a half ahead of Jeffrey Bogan. Bogan actually very, very slowly, very methodically catching Hollingsworth, not really letting him get away, just kind of keeping him at that second and a half distance. As these two here, Ravon and Davis, continue to fight. And Ravon talked about him making an impression tonight. Ravon certainly made an impression with how quick he was in practice 2 weeks ago at Indianapolis. Had a very good start from a pole start, led the first 20 laps, and then I believe if I remember correctly, got caught up in a wreck that put his Indianapolis 500 to end before we had hit lap 25. So Ravon has really made a statement here tonight that was not just a one-off from Indianapolis.
Got hit in the short chute between 1 and 2, and it was a heartbreaker because he had one of the cars to beat in all the practice sessions, had one of the cars to beat in the qualifying session, and led every lap up until that point. And just the lap car made a wrong move and snapped see you bye.
Riding on board with Rick Ravon. You see him trying to catch up to Jeffrey Bogan. You see them running very similar lines up at the front, now off the back. of Ravon's number 5, looking back at Butch Davis. As we work now lap 159, so just under 40 laps to go, or just over 40 laps to go, pardon me, here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Got off to a little bit of a rough start here tonight, but we got about 120 lap green flag run in, and just very solid from the 4 cautions we had in the first 40 laps of this race.
And that was kind of to be expected with, these guys having 2 weeks off and all the new things that iRacing threw at these guys. It was kind of to be expected. There was going to be some teething pains early on in this event. Relatively short field, though, so that was kind of slightly on the refreshing side to see. But the racing that we have seen since these guys got it sorted out has been nothing short of spectacular. Hollingsworth and Ravon throwing hand grenades at each other. Davis and Brazington and Ravon just throwing Chuck Liddell-style haymakers at each other. Kevin O'Brien having a good, solid, quiet night. Jeffrey Bogan having the drive of his career so far in Sim Racer's Edge. So, there's storylines all through this field right now that are feel-good stories.
And we don't bring it up because we don't feel it's really necessary, as Davis has a moment coming off at turn 2 there. Seen that more than once here tonight. We don't bring it up because we don't feel as though it's relevant when it comes to a league racing scenario. But the I rating of these drivers, and if you look at the I rating of the guys in the top 5 right now, Jeff Hollingsworth has a 4.6 I rating. Rick Ravon a 3.6, Butch Davis a 2.3, Dan Brazington a 2.7.
That's
Jeffrey Bogan, rating. Huh?
That's their safety rating.
No, that's their I rating. The safety rating's their license. A 4.6K. I'm sorry, my bad.
Oh.
Yeah, 4.6K. Ravon a 3.6K. Davis a 2.3K. Brazington with 2.7K. Jeffrey Bogan only has a 1.3K I rating and only has a C license. Everybody else in this field running with an A license, with the exception of Michael Bourne, who has a B license. So Jeffrey Bogan, you could say, punching above his weight class?
Well, here's the thing. Jeff Bogan has been around sim racing since, the NASCAR 95 days. But he's been in the iRacing simulator less than 6 months. I believe one of his first races that we saw him climb behind the wheel of an open wheel car in the iRacing servers, he was still a rookie in iRacing standards. So, everybody says, "Oh no, it's just a video game." No. There is a huge learning curve. Talking as a guy that has been around since the NASCAR 95 days, and I've raced in all the old Papyrus games. I've raced in all of the the R Factor days. I've raced in Second Life. I've raced in all of them. When you come to iRacing, it's a game changer, and I use that term. I don't use it lightly, because iRacing has gone to the extreme to make this simulator as close to the real world as you can get without failing the G-forces on your body.
Yeah, from laser scanned racetracks to, I believe they just announced that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a consultant. Now I believe they announced that a couple of weeks ago. And just with the technology of today and these simulators that are coming out, less the case of Project Cars 3 now, but certainly Project Cars 2, this, Assetto Corsa Competizione, Automobilista, all of these racing simulators are just getting more and more realistic because of all the technology that is available, and these developers, such as iRacing, again, such as Assetto Corsa, that want to make these simulators as real as possible, they get that opportunity with all that data that all of these places, teams, and tracks bring to them.
Well, now here's the other thing. You mentioned a couple of those, and I'm drawing a blank as to which one it actually was. But one of those other simulators that you mentioned,
you'd snickered when I said Project Cars 3.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
The company that put that game out was acquired by Codemaster,
which unfortunately was just acquired by EA.
Right. Which means that
if the F1 games.
There goes all your F1 games. There goes Project Cars 3 is basically going to be, and you can talk all the smack you want about pay content in iRacing, but there's the way EA Sports and I'm going to say this, the way EA Sports has handled every other franchise that they've acquired over the past handful of years, it's atrocious.
Yep.
While
iRacing may say here's $15 for this track, EA says here's $15 for this corner, is essentially how ridiculous EA has gotten with their microtransactions and.
Well, it's not even that. It's with iRacing, okay, it's $12 for this car. With EA Sports, yeah, it's $12 for the car, but if you want to be able to run it on an oval, that's another $5. Yep. If you want to be able to run it on an oval in a road course, that's another $5 on top of that. If you want to be able to be competitive on those, get out your checkbook.
Yep. Yes. Speaking of getting out the checkbook, oh, there they go!
That was Bogan.
Yep, that was Jeffrey Bogan and Butch Davis, and that's exactly what we were talking about earlier on with taking the access road and that.
Oh!
Yep,
Davis just ripped the front of his car off.
Yep, he spun it again, and he's still having issues. He's trying to brute force his way into his box right now, as Davis will get into his box. But that's exactly what we were talking about before, with guys taking the access road and then coming into the pits, as Davis just continues to shear parts and pieces off of that number 43 Dallara IR18, trying to get it to his box. He finally does, but he was too close to the wall, so unfortunately he had to tow.
And I don't know if he had a fast repair left either.
I think he might have. Oh, no, he did have an issue earlier on in the race, didn't he?
Yeah.
So you're right. That might be the end of Butch Davis's night. It is. Wow, so Butch Davis is done, as now here comes Hollingsworth in for his pit stop. And how's this for a change of fortune now? Rick Ravon, who had come in 14 laps prior to Hollingsworth, is now staying out longer than Hollingsworth.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, we're getting within distance of you can make it from here.
Oh, certainly. We only have 23 laps to go. But again, this is, just what we were talking about from the access road. Guys taking the access road and guys not taking the access road. And unfortunately, this is what happens. As you see, this is Bogan taking the access road onto pit road. Davis decides not to, and that's that narrow pit entry. And just throws the two cars together, and Bogan gets the benefit of that glitch we had noticed. And there you see Davis spinning it off again. But again, there's more of the damage model as the side pod gets completely taken off of the 28. But that's why you can't leave it up to driver discretion. I'm sorry, because something like that could happen, and that has just completely ruined the race for two top 5 drivers. Bogan was coming into the pits from second position.
It makes me wonder what we're going to see when we go to the Irish Hills of Michigan in 2 weeks. Because we've seen in the past, they've put the apron out of bounds on the front stretch. Is that something that we're going to see in 2 weeks? Are they going to have that as an out of bounds area, or is it going to be boys have at it? And if it's going to be boys have at it, I predict carnage.
Rick Ravon currently sitting in race lead. Ravon last pit just as the caution was coming out, and here he comes into pit road now, and unfortunately he's not going to slow it down in time, and Ravon is going to spin it out. Is Ravon? No, Ravon can't be.
Yep, he is.
He's going backwards on the racetrack into pit road, and there's Timothy Bates. My goodness.
Okay.
That's Bates and Charles Woods that were coming into pit road while Rick Ravon was going the wrong way around the track to get into a pit road he overshot.
I'm not even in the race and some poos come out.
I mean, that's unacceptable. We saw earlier Nate Siefker had the perfect chance to do that earlier, and he decided to go around. Going backwards under green flag conditions, I'm sorry, that's not okay. As you can see, here he comes, and it's this transition that knocks him back out onto the track. He's going too quick to make pit road in the first place. Flicks it around and just tries to turn it into pit road as Bates and Charles Woods are coming in.
Who had both taken the access road, too.
Yep. I mean, that's...
So Hollingsworth takes over the lead. Brazington up into second, just under 8 seconds back. Looks like Kevin O'Brien being scored in third.
Kevin O'Brien came in on lap 183, so O'Brien has made his pit stop. Jeffrey Bogan, who is behind O'Brien by about 3 seconds, is currently sitting in the fourth position after the collision with Butch Davis. And it's ironic how the point that we had brought up earlier on in the race, as far as taking the access road or just coming into pit road, it's funny how that plays such a huge factor at the end of this race, because both incidents that we saw coming onto pit road here during this green flag cycle could have been avoided if everyone was just taking the access road.
Absolutely. But it just... Wow. You want action? We got action.
I'm going to be honest. I'm shocked that Ravon has not been parked for going backwards on the track.
Well, here's the thing. If you take a look at the admins that are here right now, Stiefker has his number 10 sitting on pit road, so I'm guarantee you they're reviewing that.
As you see Ravon passing Charles Woods. Now Woods is 5 laps down in the 8th position. Butch Davis, so right now we only have 8 cars circulating the racetrack. Jeff Hollingsworth leads by 8.5 seconds from Dan Brazington. Kevin O'Brien sitting in the 3rd position. There you see him on screen. Jeffrey Bogan, Timothy Bates in the top 5. Rick Ravon, the last driver on the lead lap. Jeffrey Roulette and Charles Woods, the remaining cars on track right now, as everybody else has succumbed to what has been a test of attrition here at this newly minted Homestead Miami Speedway.
Absolutely, as we are going to be 10 laps to go as Jeff Hollingsworth starts us on that final 10 with a 7.5 second lead over your second place, Dan Brazington.
So
and 8.5 seconds, almost 9, yeah. Brazington right now, I dare say, and I use this term loosely, he's on cruise control right now. He's 2 seconds to the good over Kevin O'Brien. O'Brien can see him. O'Brien's on a little bit newer tires, but they've got Jeff Roulette in between them. Roulette's no slouch right now. I mean, he's definitely got that car wound up, and he's got speed. He just had some bad luck early that put him behind the 8 ball.
And what you're seeing right now is over the last 5 laps, O'Brien has been quicker than Dan Brazington over the last 5 laps. So he is slowly catching Brazington in that number 29. And once again, just by a little bit less than a tenth that time, quicker than the second place driver. So Brazington is losing small chunks to O'Brien, but with only 7 laps to go, O'Brien's really going to have to turn the wick up on that 84 if he wants to finish on the second spot of the podium.
And he can do it. I mean, that young man does have a lot of speed in that 84, but a podium finish is going to be huge for Kevin O'Brien. He hasn't had the luck that a lot of these other guys have had. So, to be able to put one on the podium, that's, a small victory in itself.
I think, and I unfortunately don't have it in front of me, I think he's been able to sneak one top 10 this season, has O'Brien. But beyond that, he has been, as we had mentioned, a guy who just sort of rides around, lets the race come to him, and he picks off what he can. O'Brien really
has not.
Wow, so yeah, this would be O'Brien's first top 10, first top 5, first podium. If he could just hang on for a couple laps, he's now within a second and a half of Dan Brazington. So he's closed in about a second, but unfortunately time is his enemy at the moment.
And this just in, SRE admins are investigating what Ravon did.
Rick Ravon currently sitting in the 5th position. Got around Timothy Bates a couple of laps ago. So Ravon, who again was in the top 5, who was leading a vast majority of this race, was leading prior to the set of pit stops, got caught up on pit exit with an unsafe exit, sent to the back, brought his number 5 back up to the lead, is now sitting in the 5th position. As Hollingsworth now, with 3 laps to go, coming to 2 to go, has really been, if it hasn't been Ravon, it's been Hollingsworth up front tonight.
Except for the short time that Nate Stiefker was leading, yeah. But Stiefker has had my type of luck behind the wheel. Has hit everything except the pace car, and it was just pushing too hard. Oh my.
What was that?
I will explain after the race, and might possibly let one of the admins explain what I just read.
Okay. So there's that. His white flag is in the air over what has been a dominant performance by the driver of the 97, Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth, again, has not been here for every race, and I believe this will be his first win of the season. We have 2 races left after the Christmas break. Jeff Hollingsworth goes into the break, though, as the winner of the Miami Heat 300 at the Homestead Miami Speedway.
Awesome run for Hollingsworth tonight. Won from the pole. Dan Brazington hanging on for 2nd place. Kevin O'Brien hanging on for 3rd. I mean, you couldn't ask for much more as far as a podium.
Yeah, this is quite a diverse podium. I mean, Hollingsworth we've seen on the podium on multiple ESPN broadcasts, but it's very nice to see Brazington on the podium. And again, Kevin O'Brien, what a night he had tonight. And Jeffrey Bogan as well, coming home in 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. Is all 3 of those guys definitely and also O'Brien and Hollingsworth both celebrating. Hell of a finish, though.
Well, Brian earns it. He
User
Oh,
certainly
was
earns
moved to
it
your
absolutely. I
tonight.
mean,
channel.
they've all earned it. I mean, it's been a great race all night long, and they say the cream rises to the top, and I believe Frank, you've got
No, I,
the
I
winner of the
think you,
race with you.
I think you do actually. I'm.
Jeff Hollingsworth coming home with his first victory in the Sim Racers Edge. Hard fought victory tonight. I don't believe you put a wheel wrong all night long. Well done, Jeff Hollingsworth.
Yeah, thanks, my man. I appreciate it. I feel real good about this one. This was not easy.
And this is probably one of the first times in a long time we haven't seen you have connection issues either. So I dare say that the racing deities were on your side tonight.
Yes. I've been lucky with that as well. It's real good night. I'm stoked, man. I really am. Good, clean racing by everybody I raced against, and I didn't make a lot of mistakes. I slid through my pit twice, and I was thinking that last one that was going to be it, but apparently other people had worse problems than me. So, heck yeah, man, I'll take that.
Absolutely. So the United States Coast Guard, number 97, took pole position, led a good chunk of this event. As a matter of fact, I believe you clinched most laps led. Huge points night for you. This should put you into the top 10 going into the holiday break. Your thoughts going to the Irish Hills of Michigan in 2 weeks?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Had a rough couple of weeks, so I'm not in the points or anything for this. Like you said, I've had connection problems and getting wrecked problems and everything else. So to have a nice clean race with 0 incidents and leading a lot and starting from the pole, it's a good night.
Well, I'm taking a quick look at the points right now, and the finish that you just had should move you into the top 10 in points going into Michigan in 2 weeks. So
Wow.
something to be looking forward to.
Yeah.
But anybody you want to thank before we let you go celebrate, Jeff?
Well, I want to thank the league, especially Chris. We miss him, and hope he gets back soon and he gets well. You guys for doing what you do. I love watching the replays. Everybody else loves watching the broadcast, and it's fun because you guys are good at it. And the last thing I want to do is I don't know if you've read or heard, but a friend of mine passed away, and that's why it's been a rough 2 weeks. It's one of my oldest best friends. I've known him for over 30 years. His name was Jeff Guernsey. He was a firefighter. He was a U.S. Navy guy, which is where I met him 30 years ago. And anyways, he passed away on the 3rd of COVID complications. He's only 52, man. Anyways, this goes out to him. I love you, Jeff. Thanks.
Jeff Hollingsworth, heartfelt condolences going out to the family. Sorry for the loss of your friend, but we'll let you go take care of things, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Michigan.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm not trying to bring a downer on this because this
Not
is
a problem.
This is a great night, man. It really is. But I wanted to win so bad for him, so we did it. And thanks again, fellers, and good job to everybody we raced against, and great job to Dan and Kevin on the podiums. Excellent job, and y'all have a good week. Be safe.
You too, Jeff. Happy holidays.
You too.
User was moved out of your channel.
So that was. Go ahead.
That
User
was
was moved to
Jeff
your channel.
Hollingsworth, and now we see our second place finisher here tonight, Dan Brazington. Dan, one heck of a race tonight. Certainly turned into a battle of attrition. What was it like racing with the new cars and everything that came with it, and the new track essentially at Homestead?
It was a challenge. These tires are rough, and for some reason I just couldn't keep the rears under them tonight. But that's a learning curve we're all going to have to come across.
We saw a lot of drivers lose it coming out of turn 2, pardon me. How close were you to really eating it coming out of turn 2?
Early in the race, I did lose it, but I saved it. Towards the end of the race, well, actually about midway of the race, I started running a negative weight jacker just to keep the car under me. It was the transition coming off of two. Even if you didn't hit the bump, it was crazy loose.
Going into Michigan in 2 weeks, I'm sure with the podium finish now, you have a lot of momentum going into the last oval race of the season. What are your thoughts going into Michigan?
Lots of practice, just lots of practice, getting used to the new balance of the car, the tires, and everything. You're just gonna have to lay some laps down and find what's comfortable for you and run with it.
All right, anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate your podium?
Yeah, I want to thank my wife and my kids for allowing me to do this a whole lot more than I probably need to. And I know my father-in-law is watching, and we got us a second place, man. It's all good.
The
And
direct quote from your father-in-law: "Way to go, Dan."
there you go. And everybody that shows up here, the admins, everybody that shows up here, ESPN for putting on a show. We can't do it without y'all guys. And showing up week in and week out, even with the little mishaps we had over the past couple of weeks with the update and the Watkins Glen problems and stuff like that, makes me proud and happy to be a part of this, and just glad to get all along for the ride.
You certainly should be proud of this. It's been a one special season for you guys. So we'll let you go and celebrate now your second place finisher tonight, Dan Brazington.
User was moved out of
So
your channel.
now we go to
User
our
was moved
third
to your
place
channel.
finisher. Tony is with Kevin O'Brien.
The Thunder from Down Under. Congratulations on your first podium finish, sir. Awesome job tonight, Kevin.
Oh, thank you. I'm definitely buggered, but thank you.
Well, it's been a long time coming, my friend. Now, we saw you lead a few laps earlier tonight on pit strategy, but it could things could have gone completely different for you after catching a race car to the face twice.
Oh, I'm a bit surprised I actually took a front wing damage on that one, but yeah, it is what it is. My way should have been over and done with back then, ages ago, but there was hardly any damage except for the front wing. But who cares? It's over. I was able to keep on going. So, and look what happened. I finished third. I could have been first, but if it wasn't for that last caution we had, I don't know what to say. I'm basically speechless here. This is unbelievable.
Well, Kevin,
I definitely had the strategy.
it was great strategy, and the thing is, we've been watching you race open wheel cars here on ESPN for a few years now, and you've had the speed, but you haven't had the luck until tonight. And going into the holiday break, I dare say that momentum's definitely going to be on your side as we go into the Irish Hills in Michigan in 2 weeks.
I haven't done any testing on there for ages, but I do actually look forward to it. It is a very heavy, demanding, physically, mentally challenging track to begin with. But yeah, I'm hoping after tonight's third place, that's enough momentum and boost I'm going to need to go into Michigan. Just hold the press. We see what happens. There's heaps of people here that can actually win the race there. So I need a lot of things to go my way first for that to happen.
Well, Kevin, we're going to let you get back to celebrating with your team. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Oh, most of the people here at Sim Racers Edge, I couldn't do it without them. They give me enough challenge as it is to challenge myself week in, week out. So to all the boys from SIE, thank you a lot. Other than that, family, Chris Walker, if you can hear me, man, get well, man. We want to see you back on the track soon, buddy.
All right. Well, Kevin, again, congratulations on your first podium in Sim Racers Edge. We're looking forward to seeing you in Michigan.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy your holidays.
You too, sir.
User was moved out of your channel.
That was your third place finisher here tonight, Kevin O'Brien. As boy, Tony, we've had one heck of a night here tonight, and from what we've heard, there's no word on what's going to happen with with Rick Ravon yet. So when we flash the results up here in just a second, just know those are unofficial results for the race tonight. But first time we've seen the Indy cars running, the new damage model, the new tire model, the new aero model, the newly updated Homestead Miami Speedway. There was a lot of new, and this race, as you would have assumed, turned into a real test of attrition.
Well, here's the thing: is they had a meeting in the hauler while you were interviewing Dan Brazington. He's actually down there now, giving his thoughts, as he is one of the admins here. So we do have yet to be determined as to what's going to be the outcome of the actions that Ravon had when he went the wrong way on a live racetrack. So stay tuned to the Sim Racers Edge Facebook page and the ESPN web page for all the breaking news on that yet to come. But Frank, it was a great race tonight.
Yeah, we'll zip through the results here quickly for the Miami Heat 300 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Jeff Hollingsworth, as we heard, your race winner. Dan Brazington, Kevin O'Brien rounding out the podium. Jeffrey Bogan coming home in fourth. Tentatively, it's Rick Ravon in fifth. Timothy Bates in sixth. Jeffrey Roulette, Charles Woods, the last two drivers remaining in the race. Butch Davis coming home in ninth. Nate Siefker, 10th.
Paul Carmright in 11th. 12th going to Chris Samard. Will Fletcher in 13th. Mike Grandy in 14th. 15th sees Rodney Osmer. 16th goes to Dylan Moskowitz. 17th goes to Johnny Antonucci. Michael Bourne in 18th. And Karen Bergelli rounding out the field. And he jumped up actually to be live race control after he crashed out earlier.
Yep, and Brett Beasley, who did not take part in the race here tonight, coming home in the 20th position. So that will do it for us here on ESPN. We thank you very much for joining us and making us a part of your evening, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or the iRacing portal. As Tony said, make sure to check out the website, espnofficial.com, where you can see all of our races, all of our upcoming schedule as well. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and to like us on Facebook as well. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And we will see you here in 2 weeks' time from the Michigan International Speedway. Good night, everybody.